Hi, this is Corey Miller. Is Christianity good or bad for the world? Should people become Christians? There's nothing in atheism that says that's absolutely wrong, is there? Is there anything you would be willing to do or not willing to do if the price was right? In the jungle, there's nothing wrong with having a slave, is there? Do you think Christianity's true? What do you think? Go.
I think it's good for some reasons. Like, it depends on how you use it. So if they use Christianity to benefit the world, then I think it's a good thing. But obviously, like, they shouldn't be using it for bad things in the world, like slavery, you said.
Personally, I think it's good for the world, even if you aren't a Christian, because people have their own beliefs, and for some people, Christianity is a group of people, and they feel accepted within that group. So for those people, I think it's good, and for others, they always can find their own groups.
What you mean is that Christianity is good to some people, but it's not necessarily good for all people, or maybe it's not objectively good for all people.
I think it's good for people who believe in that.
My answer would be yes, because the beliefs that come along with Christianity make people overall like well-rounded people and just better people in general. You treat other people with respect in the way you want to be treated. You don't talk poorly of them.
Do you think Christianity's true?
Yes.
Can you tell me why?
Personally, like the moments that like or stand out to me are like God moments that I have where it's like, oh, like how could he not be real? And I don't know.
So I believe it's a matter of, what you think is good and what you think is bad, right? Like all things in life, people can misinterpret things or interpret things the way that they want to in an effort for their own agenda. So in my opinion, it's what you make out of it.
Okay, so do you think good and bad are relative concepts, or is there something known as absolute goodness?
I do not believe that there could be absolute goodness in the world, mainly because what's good for somebody is bad for somebody else.
I don't think any religion is bad, specifically because all the religions try to give the message of, be good to your neighbors, do good things, and, be nice to each other.
Do you think there is a ground for good versus evil?
If you get into the boundary of somebody else, or if you think something else is like not equal to you, or just see something as low than you, or like I said, get into something's boundary, I think that's at that point is like not a good thing.
I mean, if we're talking pure science, you're a man of science. What about social biological evolutionary ethics as a ground where, one book that is written is called A Natural History of Rape, a biological case for sexual coercion, where the idea of the two authors is that the strongest males in the population seek to perpetrate as many females as possible in order to perpetuate their DNA. In other words, it's just a matter of science. It's a matter of survival of the fittest. Rape is good on sociobiological evolutionary terms because it helps promote the species.
Can I say bad words? Yeah, that sounds like a whole bunch of bullshit to me. Sorry. We live in actually a society. We can't do stuff like that. That's just bad.
So you're saying there is a moral ought and a moral ought not.
Yeah,
there are objective morals in the world. Is that right?
People have to control their moral compasses. That's what I'm saying. Like I said before, if it gets to someone else's boundaries, it's not okay.
Who says? Who says getting in their boundaries is wrong?
Like if I stab you, do you think that's a good thing?
Well, I don't think it's a good thing, but I think that murder is absolutely wrong. Yeah. Do you?
Yeah, it's wrong.
So if you think there are moral absolutes, then there is a moral law in the universe that is the set of all these moral absolutes or objective moral features. Does that moral law then imply the existence of a moral lawmaker, which is now the ground of good?
I don't really know at this point. I'm just a college student.
Well, as a Catholic raised woman myself, I go to St. Tom's every Sunday. I'd like to say Christianity is good for the world, but I could also see how it's bad. I think in any kind of situation, things can be both good and bad. I think Christianity is good in the sense of it can keep people morally straight. for me, it's a sense of comfort. It's a sense of relief. I know I can always go to church or talk to God, and I feel a sense of comfort and like release. In a sense, it's always been a safe place for me, but I can understand where Christianity hasn't always been a safe place for everyone. I think there's a lot of extremes of Christianity where you could be a Bible thumper and you can say in the Bible it says this, 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 and this. And in reality, I think Christianity is all about love. For me, Christianity is about loving everyone, and God loves everyone. He's a very merciful and forgiving God. So I just kind of take my problems to him. So I think it's good and I think it's bad. I think it just depends on who you are.
So you're kind of making a distinction here, I think. You're talking about maybe some bad behaving animals.
Yes.
Some bad players that are within the bubble of Christianity.
Yeah.
Versus maybe the religion itself.
Yes.
So the religion itself has, some essential doctrines revolving around the idea, who is God, who is Christ, how does man get to heaven, things like that, right?
Yeah.
Do you think the message for Christianity is objectively good for the world? Is it good for human civilization, even beyond just eternity?
Yeah, I totally think so. I think the message of Christianity is love and peace and trying to help one another, being there for one another, forgiveness and mercy, which I think is so important, especially in the world we live in today. So I think the message of Christianity is good. Do I necessarily think everyone carries Christianity out in a good way? Maybe not. But I think you can try your hardest. And I think the God I know is good and he's loving. And so I think Christianity is good.
What is the gospel of Christianity?
Love and peace. I mean, I've never...
The Beatles believed that, didn't they?
Probably. I mean, I think at the end of the day, everyone's got their own sense of who God is, what God is. And as long as you're a good human and you're good to people and you're loving and you're putting yourself out there, then I think you're doing pretty good in life.
Do all good people, as long as they're good and loving and putting themselves out there, do they go to heaven?
I like to think so. I think as long as you're a good person, you've got a good heart, you're doing good in the world, I mean, God's loving and he's forgiving, so I think you're going to go to heaven.
How do you know if you're good enough? What's the standard by which a person needs to cross a threshold to go to heaven?
I think if at the end of the day, you can look at your life and look at your decisions and know you made the best decision for yourself and the people around you at that time, I think you're a good person.
Do you think Hitler thought that he was making the best of things?
Probably.
Do you think he's going to be in heaven?
No.
Why?
Because I think he preached hate. If you're being a hateful person, whether you think it's right or not, if you're discriminating, if you're not loving everyone, if you're not showing people forgiveness and mercy, that's not the Christianity that I know. The Christianity that I know that I think is good for the world is love and acceptance and peace and trying to help people.
So as long as people are doing good, they don't need to have Jesus in their lives?
I think everyone's got a different sense of Jesus.
And so do you think personally that if you died today, you would go spend eternity with God in heaven?
I'd like to think so. If you're a good person and you're doing what you should do as a human, then you'll go.
I love this conversation. It keeps bringing up other more foundational things too.